Hello and welcome everyone. It is Trades Talk Tuesday with me, your host, Pop Culture Mechanic, but please, you can call me Pop for short. So I hope everyone is doing well today. It's been a nice day. It's getting towards the tail end of November now, and we're going to slide into December and then Christmas. So, I'll just start off with a little bit of the news from the trades area here. What we'll do is we'll click on here, and we'll look at see what MRO's got going on. Something that caught my eye was the UBC Canadian District receives funding to support first-year apprentices. This is good because you need somewhere to start, and being an apprentice is where you start out as. And if somebody has funding, click off that. Let's see what this has to say. The United Brotherhood of Carpenters Canadian District launched a 2-year, $37 million program funded by the Government of Canada's Apprenticeship Service to provide support to small and medium enterprises in Canadian construction and manufacturing trades. The goal, to help them hire new first-year apprentices needing a leg up to begin careers in the skilled trades. As the demand for skilled trade workers outpace the need in our country, it's critical that we do everything we can to recruit and retain the next generation, said Jason Rowe, VP UBC Canadian District. The UBC is working hard to eliminate barriers and provide an equitable, diverse, and inclusive workplace for all Canadians. This program supports small businesses by equipping them with the necessary tools and resources to help apprentices succeed. This funding enables SMEs to hire up to 2 new first-year apprentices per year. Under the program, SMEs can receive up to $5,000 for every new first-year apprentice they hire, and an additional $5,000 if that apprentice identifies as a person from an equity group such as women, Indigenous people, newcomers, persons with disabilities, including LGBTQ, and Black communities. Oh, and that's it. So they can hire apprentices, but they need the journeyman to be there to help train them. So I don't know what the rules are for some of those companies, but sometimes you only have one journeyman for 2 apprentices, or 1 for 4, something like that. You can't have like an incredible amount of apprentices under one journeyman. That just doesn't work out well. And hello, Godzillionaire. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I was just looking at this article about how their government's going to help fund some small companies so they can hire some apprentices, because I know they're gun shy about hiring apprentices at the time, but it's very important for them to hire apprentices so the apprentices can get the experience, and they will stick with that company so they can get through their apprenticeship, which is like a minimum of 3 to 4 years. So that's good. Let's see what else they have. Government of Canada and FCM support asset management in Newfoundland and Labrador communities. New Gold names president and CEO. Rollomatic appoints customer experience manager. It doesn't really apply to anything I want to look at. Rittel wins EFC Marketing Award for the 5th year. Pretty slow news since last week. There hasn't been anything too big they've jumped on. Also, I might need to find a better news resource than just MRO. There's got to be better ones out there that go into much more detail and have more stories about the skilled trades and how much they're needed. But that's all right for that. What I will do now is look right here. And I'll take this and move this over here. So one of the projects that I was on years ago was changing out a giant filter. So because I worked in an industry that took household garbage and turned it into compost, and we all know that compost, when it breaks down, has just a horrific smell because everything's decomposing and it's all biological material, and boy, does it put off a big stink. So when you do that on an industrial scale, you have to have giant filters to get rid of or help cut down on the odor. So that's what this is. As you can see right here in this picture, we have what's called a gradle, and this machine has quite a long arm for the reach, and it's pulling out wood chips that are mixed with dirt. And this would help capture the horrific odor that would come out of the building that's to the right of that machine there. A lot of ammonia would get pushed out through there. And so we had a project to change. Every 5 years you have to change out the media because it just gets so saturated. And so this is how you do it. You start out by getting the heavy machinery in, and you get them to pull off now the top layer is about 5 feet thick of wood chips. So you get the gradle to pull that off and put it into the back of a dump truck, and it gets taken away. There's a different angle. You can see he's got quite the reach there as he's pulling up the wood chips. And he works his way along. But underneath those wood chips is there's a plastic geomesh, and then under that is some fiberglass grating. And then underneath that is some cinder blocks, which are just to hold everything up off of the concrete base, which has been lined with an enviro liner. And the blocks allow the air to come from underneath and go up through the media to be cleaned, or to scrub away some of the odor. So as you can see there, he's exposed a lot of the cinder blocks and the enviro liner. Here's another shot of it. Get a little bit better view of it. Towards the top of the picture, it still has some of the geomesh, the plastic geomesh. Then this is fiberglass grating, and as you can see, a lot of the cinder blocks are exposed, and they get eaten by the foul air that gets pushed through there. So I think the ammonia attacks the cement that they're made up of, and you'll see some pictures further along as to what it can do to them. So once as you're going along, you can see we have to take out all the cinder blocks and take out all the grating and all the mesh. And once he gets the halfway done, he has to put some rig mats in, and he climbs over and into the filter area to finish off the second half. As you can see here, he's climbing over that and inside, and he has to put those up there so that he doesn't wreck the retaining wall. And now that he's there, he can finish off the second half, because he has to reach all the way. I'll zoom in a bit. He has to reach all the way back to where these valves are. As you can see, there's a big long line of valves for each one of the for letting the vents. You can open and close them, and you can let as much or as little air from the building in to the filter. but there's some damage that happens to the EnviroLiner. You can see there's a big rip. And right there, some more damage. So this thing will have to be repaired or replaced. See there's more damage. So here's a repair kit. And what you do is you cut a piece of rubber EnviroLiner. You got your 2-part epoxy there. And once you glue it down, you put a brick on it and hold it down so that it adheres to the liner. Here's a little better shot. What's funny is they know to put those down to protect the retaining wall because someone jacked it up for you. Yeah, you know, they were probably like, oh, whoops, we caused some damage. Sorry about that. This was, I think, one of the first ones that I was involved with. So after this, what they did was they just ripped up the whole liner completely. They didn't bother repairing it or anything like that. They just ripped it up and brought in a completely new one, which was neat because there's a little machine that kind of like melts it together. You just set it down and put the two ends together, and it just goes along on its wheels, and it secures the two pieces together, which is quite neat. As you can see, we had to stack up a lot of bricks, and we ended up, I think, putting them on pallets and getting them out of there. So that's over, I think that was at least 2,000 bricks that everyone had to move by hand. So that is not fun work. That is grunt work. I think there's pictures of the guys there, and they are picking them up, and I think they're taking them over to the side here, where that skid steer is. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Putting them on pallets, getting them out of there. Yeah, that's pretty ugly looking. What else we got here? I believe this is towards the end. These pictures aren't exactly in numerical order, but as you can see, we had to put in some different fiberglass grating because there were some that just didn't make it. They crumbled, they broke, you know, so we had to get some new stuff and put it in, and then we connected them all together with tie straps so that they wouldn't move or shuffle or shift around. And you had to put them back a certain way so that everything would fit proper. It's a little bit of a better shot. It's quite a large area, as you can see. It's it takes a lot of wood chips to fill this back up now. And this is how we did it. So right there, you've got the loader, comes in, it's got a bucket full of wood chips, it dumps it into the hopper. The hopper's got I think it has a vibrator on it, and it puts it onto what's called a telebelt. So this is like a portable conveyor belt on a truck. Like this truck is the size of a fire truck, and you can reach, and it's got quite the distance that it can reach, and it can do the whole. It's a remote control. The fellow there, he's hanging onto a remote control, and you just move it around. It's a hydraulically powered conveyor belt. It can run forwards. It can actually run backwards too, if need be. Okay, so as you can see here, this is what it looks like before we even started. It's full of, it's got the wood chips, but it's got also full of plants that have planted themselves. You worked with a guy from Boston before? That's a hopper. Oh, it's a hopper. I put the wood chips in the hopper. Yeah, it's very, very labor intensive. You have to have a lot of manpower to get this job done. As you can see, there's the old mesh that we pulled up, and as well as some cinder blocks on the pallets. We tried to save as many as we could because obviously company is cheap, doesn't want to have to buy new cinder blocks. So we were told save as many as you can. It's like, all right, we'll do our best. As you can see, the grate all is in there, and he's got his special attachment on there, and that is for getting close to the wall as possible and without damaging anything. And the operator was just a phenomenal operator. The guy knew exactly where everything was. His machine, he could push and scrape up without even damaging any of the fiberglass grating. He was quite amazing. I was very impressed. And there's the old mesh. We put it in a garbage bin, and getting ready to we'd fill that up and send it over to be shredded. You missed the okay. This is a giant filter. So the building right here is where everything. So I worked at a place that would take garbage and turn it into compost on an industrial level. This would take the city's garbage and turn it into compost, and when anything breaks down, it stinks badly, like lots of ammonia and just terrible. So what we're changing out is the filter, one of 3 filters that helps filter out the smell. And every 5 years it needed to be done. So for the time I was there, I think I changed out 3 or 4 of them. And it was a big operation. But yes, this is what's known as a biofilter. So it filters out all the foul air from the building. And this blue building in the background here, that's one of the electrical rooms that powers the giant fans. We had 6 large, I think there were 400 horsepower fans that sucked the air from the building and pushed it through the biofilter. And yes, we did this towards the end of the year. So this was November of 2011. And as you can see, we have everything cleaned out. And we're getting ready for them to put everything back in new. Or the old bricks, the geomesh. Oh, there's the Enviro liner. They've spread it across. And it comes in 2 pieces, right? Enviroliner 4030, yep, that's the stuff. And there they are putting the bricks back in place. They have to be done a certain way, and you notice how they all have to face with the holes opening so that the air can move through. So we have to make sure, try to keep all the bricks in line as we're getting close to the wall. There's the geomesh that goes over top of the grating, and all this does is help keep the wood chips from falling through. So you do it at a 45-degree angle, and that way it doesn't line up with the grating below it, and it tries to keep the majority of the wood chips from falling in and clogging up the filter. Again, there's a shot of a before a picture. Everything is growing in this thing, and as you can see, there's the mist of the warm air that's getting pushed out of it. There is that's the telebelt, so that thing has big, what do you call them? The arms that come out and push on the ground there. And it gets itself all set up. And it can put wood chips anywhere you want. They usually use it for weeping tile. So if you know what that is, that's like from your house so that it wicks away the water from your basement. This is what the new media looks like. So this is wood chips and compost. They wanted a wood chip compost combination, and so it gets what's a basement? Well, maybe you live in a place that doesn't have basements. I mean, but you know, it's the lower part of the house that's made out of concrete, and it's very cold. There's a better shot of it. You can see there's the telebelt. It's got its those things. It's got the outriggers out, so it's stable, and it's got the main. So the main conveyor is that big one, and there's that secondary one where it loads everything onto, so you can have your hopper back here, load her up, put it in, and put it wherever you want. As you can see, it can telescope quite a bit. So that, and it reaches very far, and I think we had to do about 5 feet thick of wood chips. And the wood chips are just dry like crazy, so it's dusty. And there it is there. That's another shot of it. I believe I will have some videos too towards the end as to showing a little bit better in action. So the guys were up there and they're raking it down, trying to keep the piles, trying to level out the piles. As you can see how thick it is now. It's pretty much almost there. Yeah, there's the old. This is what the old biofilter looks like. So this stuff here, as you can see, it's just been saturated with ammonia and all the other air that got pushed through there. And yeah, it's time to change it out. Another shot of it a little further back. Things are a little darker. You work from the dark of the morning till the dark of night at this. And yeah, more of the geomesh as it got pitched out. A fella scraping up scraping all the snow out of there. These guys were smart. They had a vac truck come in and vac out all the stuff that the Great All couldn't get. The vac truck got. So they're going along and they're sucking up all the old wood chips. More of the EnviroLiner. Brand new. You guys are starting to place bricks back on the EnviroLiner. There are some new ones, as you can see. You did get new bricks. There's a better shot of the geomesh as it goes over the grating. Shot of the old biofilter. Yeah, so it's still dark at what time? It's 8:40 in the morning here, and it's still dark, and you can see the loader getting ready to. We're getting ready to start and start putting wood chips on. There's some more. There's another shot of some more wood chips, and we have we had our marker here as to how much we had in. So looks like they marked it as a 6 foot. At the 6 foot mark. So we're about a foot away from that. And that way you can tell if it settles as well. That'll let you know that it's compacting. As you can see, they got a setup here for the outrigger. Don't want to put it right on the retaining wall. So they built up some like an outrigger pad here just so it wouldn't crush it. Because, you don't need to cause more damage. So it takes a while. I think it takes about, what is it? About a week to remove all the wood chips. And I think it takes about 10 days to put them all back in. Yeah, there they are. They're still moving back and forth. That's another picture of the old stuff. I forgot they got a bobcat in here. And it looks like it's got fork attachments. So it's, as the guys are loading up the bricks, the bobcat is picking them up and taking them. And there's a smaller Great All back here too. So the big one would grab from the end, put it halfway, and then the smaller one would grab it and put it on the dump trucks. Yeah, there's our stacks of cinder blocks. So many cinder blocks. Ugh. Yeah, and there's the dump truck. And there's the smaller grade all in there. And there's the old Enviro liner that they got to pull up and cut up and put away. So this is what happened to some of the cinder blocks. Sometimes they would just crumble right in your hands. I don't know what it is, whether the ammonia had that effect on them, or whether they were just old. But you can see there's just some that would just crumble right in your hands. And there's the vent pipes that comes from what we called the plenum, or the concrete. It was a concrete plenum where the air would get pushed into, and that's where. And then eventually the air would come out of these pipes and into the biofilter. And there's one on each side. There's one on the left side of this plenum and one on the right side. So there was quite a lot of them. And we're just putting it back together. It looks like more grading. There's some of the older. I believe this was the other side. So I went and I took pictures of the other side of the, because we have 3 filters and we did one, and this is the second one. There's another shot of the telebelt. That is quite the machine. Sun comes out a little more. I believe the other. Okay, so there's 2 crews. There was the crew of ours, and then we had a contractor come in and do the other filter at the same time. Yeah, looking pretty good here, and there they are, still working at it. We've got everybody's there. The dump truck, the small grade all, the big grade all. Everybody's working. I even think, yeah, the Bobcat even got in there and tried to help pull some of the wood chips out of there. And then there's the vac truck with the long hose attachment, and those guys are sucking up the rest of the wood chips. And a picture of the cinder blocks, and we're securing them with zap straps. Yeah, we've got pictures of the outriggers. This is some of the stuff that you think comes in. You think your wood chips are clean until you go through and you find this stuff in your wood chips. Just unbelievable. There's twisted pieces of metal, and I don't know how they get in there, but they got in there, and we found them. I believe somebody got their skid steer stuck because they tried driving around with a wheeled skid steer in the wood chips, and you can't do that. You need one with treads. You're gonna try to drive around with one with and look at the wheels on this one are worn off anyway, and you're gonna try driving around in there, you're gonna get stuck. Another shot of the telebelt and the loader. They're putting the wood chips in. I think this was a shot of the old plastic that was used to help line the sides. As you can see, the grading went up, and then it formed a little step where the valves are. So we had to make sure that went back in the same way it came out. And there's some more Enviro liner. They're still ripping it up. And those guys are still vacuuming. I believe they were going to have new anchors for holding down the Enviro liner. So these guys are securing those. There's a good shot. Look at that. That is quite the stretch. That machine You can load it up with wood chips and just that's as far as that sucker can reach. That's an excellent handy machine. Yeah, and there's this stuck skid steer. And just don't do that. Don't figure you can, get around when you can't. That's our new. They look new. Oh, maybe they aren't. So yeah, there's more pipes. Still needs to be cleaned out. They're cleaning it. Those guys have their anchors in. Getting close to quitting time. It's 6 o'clock at night. There's some more of the old one. You can see the moss growing on there. Just everything loved to grow with the compost that was in those wood chips. Everything liked to grow in it. It's just amazing. And this thing is still stuck. I don't know if they even how long it took them to get it out of there, but there's our measuring post. So I tried to take some measurements just to make sure, because you want your blocks to go back roughly in the same area and to be spaced out correctly. There's another shot of the telebelt. Not quite sure what we're looking at here. I don't remember taking that photo. Yep, just pictures of cinder blocks, more measurements. You always make sure when you're doing something like that, take a picture of it. That way you got in case you forget, you always have your reference you can use. And during the wintertime, you have to bring out the snow blower because you can't put a liner back in with snow all over it, so I had to do that. More measurements. Just got to make sure you keep your blocks the right distance apart. This guy here went to a vacuum gauge so they could sort of tell if it was having a hard time putting the air through, and the gauge, they could check it and see whether it was time to, if they had to change one of the valves or make sure they had to divert it somewhere else. And there's a good example of bricks that just didn't make it. They just gave up. There was no abuse. It was just, they just crumbled. I'm pretty sure that was the ammonia that did that. And more measurements. Then we've got it all ready to go for the wood chips, and there's a view looking down the conveyor as it's putting the first bit of wood chips into the filter. More measurements. Very dusty. Trying to take pictures with all that dust, it just didn't turn out very well. Yeah. It was a very wet time. At times it got very wet outside, as you can see. You're just slogging around through mud, pretty much. Yeah, there we are. Still loading it up with the loader. There we go. There's some video for you. Sucking up the wood chips from between the stands of cinder blocks. I wonder if we got sound. Can I put sound on here? Sound is... Oh, yeah. There we go. You hear that okay, I hope? I mean, it's just the sound of a vac truck, so... Okay, let's see what video is next here. Okay, this will be a good action shot. So the loader is going to load this guy up with some wood chips. Can I get this bigger? No. Oh, it's too bad. I believe he's driving a Caterpillar too. That's a good brand of loader. I like Caterpillar. They seem pretty reliable. But he has to feather it in, because if he just dumps it all in all at once, it'll just clog and it'll cause those guys underneath there to have to work harder. So there's a guy here that tries to keep it from clogging up as well. We call that the interchange that he's standing at. So he has probably has a hockey stick or something in his hand to stop any wood chips from clogging up at that transition there. And then, as you can see, it just goes right there wherever he wants it to go. And they have a fellow there who's trying to smooth out the chips. I think this is a really windy day, so keep your eyes open and you'll see sometimes it's not the best working conditions. He's dumping those in there. As you can see all the wood chips getting blown across the biofilter. I don't know why they were loading them up with wheelbarrows, but yeah, not the best time to be out there. But you got to work in all conditions. You can't just stop because the wind picks up. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is the Great All. And this is how he's taken the old material out of there. This is you'll notice this is the part of the video I use for my opening. Yeah, this guy was an excellent operator. I can't say enough good stuff about him. He really did a good job. So this is the grunt work. This is what I was saying. You need a lot of guys because these fiberglass grating is so flimsy. You can't just do one guy. You need two to move them around. And I think once they get it in place, I think that other fellow takes oh, okay. I think they're saying it's upside down because it doesn't fit proper. Yeah, so over it goes. There you go. And what they'll do is they'll get some long tie wraps and secure it to the to cinder blocks, and then they'll get smaller ones and secure the grating to each other. What else we got here? Been a while since I looked through these, so... Okay, this looks like we're getting close to the end here. Guys are just trying to smooth out the high spots. Yeah, that's what that is, alright. I didn't think we wanted it full of dirt, so... Just didn't make sense to me. If you're going to bring wood chips, bring clean ones. This is a shot of the second one. The second biofilter. Like I say, stuff grew so well with that compost. It was unbelievable. Just anything that landed there and it would just grow. Okay. Putting on the new Enviro liner. And get the evil eye from that guy because I'm not helping, I'm videotaping. Hey, when you're the guy in charge, you don't have to do the grunt work. I'm not sure what that was about. That was just a short one. There we go. Rolling out the geomesh across the grating. I think when we got to the wall, we'd have to cut it, secure it, because it definitely wants to roll back out on itself. So. Yeah, I think he's securing that in there. Okay, here they are putting in the new anchors and clamping for the Enviro liner. And yeah, using the snowblower. I mean, there's not enough to move any snow, but they're just trying to get as much of it out of there. Oh, I believe that is the last of the videos. So there you go. That is a lot of the project of removing the media from a biofilter and replacing it with something new. And that has to be done every 5 years because the material degrades and breaks down so much that it can't do its job. It just gets saturated, and the odor just gets too much for people to take. And you get complaints from people in the city saying that, hey, this place stinks. And we're like, yes, we know. Let's see here. That and that. Yeah, there we go. So yes, that is how you change out a biofilter. Any questions? I am happy to answer. It's very labor intensive. You need a minimum of 6 people just to get the job done in a timely fashion. I believe it takes I think it takes a month. Take it from start to finish, from when you first take out the old chips. That takes a week. And then 2 weeks of removing mesh and and grading and cinder blocks, and then EnviroLiner, and then putting a new EnviroLiner in, putting the blocks back in, putting the grading and then the mesh. And then I believe it takes a week to 10 days of putting in new wood chips. And you mix those wood chips up with compost. You're supposed to, I was told, and it helps with the start the reaction so that it can capture the ammonia and other foul gases that are expelled from the building. So yes, it was a good experience. I've done 3 or 4 of them, and the 4th one was the one that I was in charge of, because you're just around long enough and people that know how to do it have left, and you're the only one that's around that knows how to do it. So then you're put in charge. And then you don't have to do much grunt work anymore. So that's nice, because, grunt work's not fun. You can do it when you're young, but as you get older, you don't want to do grunt work. At least not a lot of it. You'd rather do grunt work than be in charge? Well, that's okay too. Not saying it's wrong or anything. I'm just saying that as I was getting older, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll want to be in charge now. Let the young guys go out there and do the grunt work. You have the people skills of a bowling ball. Oh, Godzillionaire. You wouldn't know it by how you chat when I see you chat going around in chat. It's tough there. You got to take into account a lot of things, especially other people and how they react, because everybody reacts different to things you tell them. They're it's like, okay, well, some people you have to explain things to, and they want to know why, and you have to explain the why. Some people do things without even questioning you. Some people do things that they think you want, but you don't want, and it's like, no, I meant this. And there's the guys that ask lots of questions. There's the guys that ask no questions. So there's all sorts of different personalities out there you got to take into account when you're trying to get things done. And yeah, people skills, it's tough. It is tough to do. I mean, I gotta say, like, guys that are good managers and they have those skills, they're a pleasure to work for. The guys that don't have that, you don't want to work for them or go out of your way. You've left multi-jobs now because they keep trying to promote me to management even after I express how I don't want that. Yeah, stop it. Stop promoting me. I don't want that. They just keep throwing promotions at you, eh? It's, that's harsh. But yeah, if you're in an engineering position, they really seem, and I can only speak for the company I'm at now, is that they really seem to like putting engineers in management positions. And it's like, just because you're an engineer doesn't mean you're a good manager. I'm sure there's lots of the ones that are, but then there's ones that aren't. So some of the best managers aren't engineers. So yes, this is one of 3 large filters. It's pretty much all it is. A giant filter to filter the air out of the building and make it a little less horrible for the people that live around the city, because Years ago, this place was not very close to the city, and the city expanded, and people are complaining. And it's like, well, you moved here. You moved beside the place that makes compost on an industrial scale. You know, you should have known. But yes, it was quite the undertaking. And if there's other places out there that, I'd like to know if there's any other places that are out there that have this kind of a setup where you have 3 large outdoor filters. Excuse me, if there's I don't know if any other cities, or if there is the city that you live in, or do you know of any cities that have their own composting facility where they take all of the city's garbage and turn it into compost? It's quite a large undertaking. You're pretty much, when you have a city of, I don't know, 800 or 900,000 people, and you're trying to turn all their garbage, all their organic garbage into compost and separate out the inorganic stuff like metals, plastics, you need something this big to do it. Like that is like an extremely large facility. And as you keep coming back to Trades Talk Tuesdays, you'll see more and more of the facility, because I spent the majority of my working career, about 15 years at this place. And I've seen a lot of things, and I've taken a lot of pictures, and I've documented a lot of things. So it was because I found it quite fascinating. And I hope you do too. I believe that waste management and recycling and stuff is a huge thing that needs to be taken care of. It's quite amazing. People throw things in the garbage, or they throw things in the recycling bin, and they're like, okay, well, that's good enough. They don't realize where it goes after that. Your garbage is taken away and it's sorted. Well, in some places, I suppose. Some other places, it's probably just burnt. But in other places, it's sorted out, and they want you at your end, in your house, to sort it out into organics and non-organics and paper and plastic and such. And then that gets taken away, and it's easier sorted at the industrial end, where it puts all the organic stuff. Okay, that's compostable. Okay, good, we're going to do that. Boom, done. Plastics, okay, we're going to sort that out, and we're going to bind them up and bale them and sell them to China. Paper, okay, yep, we're going to sort it out and bind it and bale it together and send it to whoever wants the paper. And same with the metals. Metals get sorted, put into compactors. They compact it, they band it up, and there you go. It's metal, and it can be sent to whoever needs it. So there's a lot to it. And we haven't even gotten into the what happens when you flush your toilet and where that goes, because I've dealt with that too. And it's not a pretty sight. You really don't want to be, there's some things you just don't want to know. Some things you don't want to hear about. But sometimes you have to, and then you can have an appreciation for what goes into actually, running a city facility like that, where it takes care of all the waste. Municipal sludge is not fun to deal with. Yeah, amen to that. I'll say that for sure. At our end, it was already treated, but we didn't get the raw stuff, but we got the treated stuff, which would come over. And I've got more pictures and videos of where it would go and what it would do. But I'll save that for another stream. Coming up on the 1 hour mark now. And I just want to say I appreciate you guys coming by. It's nice to have a little bit of support here. I know my trades talks are probably not for everyone, not everybody's cup of tea, but try to make it a little fun, try to make it a little more, some educating, and hopefully get people interested in the skilled trades, because it's important that more of those positions are filled. There's going to be a giant gap in the future. A lot of the journeymen out there are retirement age now, and companies are doing everything they can to hang on to them because they don't want to have apprentices, or they haven't planned properly, or there isn't enough people going into the skilled trades. So when that happens, people have to work at their jobs longer, and some people want to retire. So if you know anyone that is looking into the trades, or someone that's, talked about it, definitely persuade them. Say yes, do it. Go into the skilled trades. It's very rewarding. It's a skill that cannot be taken away from you. Once you've learned and spent your years in the profession, you keep that knowledge with you, and no one can ever take it away from you. And you will be paid a premium, depending on which sector you go into, I guess. But there will be plenty of places to go. You can search the whole gambit of occupations out there and places to go. You can be do you like skiing? You can be what do they call those things? Things that take you to the top of the mountain. Damn, I just drew a blank here. A ski lift. You can be a ski lift mechanic. And that's, you can specialize in being a ski lift mechanic, and then you can work on that stuff, and then, go snowboard or skiing in your off time. I mean, that's all right. You can be a tool and die maker. For that you need really sharp eyesight, really good eyes, because you have to be very precise. But you're working with measuring tools, you're making tools. I mean, you don't even have to get, super dirty. At least I don't think so. You can be a welder, a little louder, a little noisier, but to be a good one, a welder / fabricator, you're gonna be you're gonna be in a loud, a noisy environment, and it's gonna be lots of welding fumes to deal with. So you always have to remember to wear your respirator. A good boat mechanic is never looking for work. There you go, boat mechanic, shipwright, or whatever you want to call them. Heavy equipment technician. You'll mark my words. If we look at some of the publications out there, they are gonna say that there's a shortage, and they haven't started to panic yet, but they should. There's gonna be that time coming. I mean, I've got another probably 15 years to go, and then I'm gonna be looking at retirement. So a little bit longer for me, and then we'll see what happens. I need an apprentice or something like that, somebody young I can train to take my place when I'm going to retire. You heard that every 5 skilled people that retire, 2 take their place? Yeah, so we're at a deficit already. I mean, the only thing that could, for me, they would say, the company would have to ask me, please don't retire. Can you stay a little bit longer? And, I like where I'm at, so I might do them a favor and be like, sure, okay, I can work a few extra years. Why not? And then hopefully they'll, but I will push hard on them to get someone for a replacement when I'm getting towards retirement age. Maybe it would probably be ideal 2 years before I retire, bring somebody in. I can show them the ropes for 2 years, and then I can quietly sail off into the sunset and they can take over. And then it will be, hopefully a nice, quiet retirement. But yes, I hope that the word gets out. And, if you guys can help me out, spread the word to other people, that on every Tuesday, there's this guy. His name's Pop Culture Mechanic. You call him Pop for short. And he wants to talk about the trades. And if they're slightly interested, point them my way every Tuesday at 7 p.m. I know there's a lot of other people out there to watch and listen to. And they're probably way more exciting stuff that they talk about in the entertainment industry and all that. But I'm trying to get the word out that these skilled trades are important. And with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I really appreciate you guys coming by. Godzillionaire, it's always great to talk to you about this stuff. I like hearing your point of view. Any of you that are lurkers, I appreciate the lurk. Please slap the like button. It really helps me out here. It's almost like YouTube is fighting against me, trying to get any traction. But we'll see. Hopefully I just got to persevere. Maybe outlast them. Tell your friends and spread the word. There's some other channels you can visit as well, like Pacific 414, Blaine's Escape Channel, Ronin66. There's DJ Ronnie G. There's the Brandon the Anime Guy, and the Nerdporial Lifeform, and also Punkwaddle, who is at Floral from Under a Rock. All good channels to watch. Those guys are very entertaining. I watch them myself. I'm out there on Twitter and Bitchute, Odysee, Rumble, and I'm broadcasting on Twitch right now. So, trying to get some Twitch audience, but I don't do any kind of hot tub streams, so I don't expect any kind of viewership from Twitch. But I keep plugging away at it just to see. Start using the Tool Time Girls from Home Improvement in your thumbnails. That'll drive up viewership. Oh, yeah. Old Heidi, who was played by Pamela Anderson at one time, I believe. I know there was another girl on there, but I remember Pamela Anderson. Unless I'm mistaken. But I think it was her. Yeah, maybe I should get some better thumbnails, Godzillionaire? Something that grabs people a little more. That's something I gotta work on. I got a bit lazy just putting up thumbnails, so I will have to put in the extra effort. Pam Anderson was the OG girl. Okay. They found her at, a little bit of trivia for you, they found her at a BC Lions game. Because she grew up in British Columbia, right? So she was at a BC Lions game, and I think the camera panned over to her, and somebody was like, "Hey, who's that?" And she took off from there. And she looked really good back then. It's too bad she ruined herself. Hollywood helped ruin her looks and all that, because she looked fine just the way she was. So I think that's about it for me. I will be back Saturday morning playing Advance Wars for the Game Boy Advance. I am trying to get the hang of this, commanding an army and conquering everyone that gets in my way. It's pretty fun. I like it. It's definitely takes a long time to get through. I'm working through my campaign now. I made it through the tutorial, so that's good. And then on Sunday, On Sundays, it's Anime Chat, and I review a show from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, sort of the more obscure ones from those decades. We have such a plethora of anime nowadays, it's unbelievable how much people get to watch, and I'm quite amazed it's come this far, having lived through the beginnings of it and how you could get it, and seeing it on television was like seeing a unicorn, and then you'd have to go out and get your own, either on VHS or DVD later on. But it was mostly VHS, and it was mostly recorded off of the television, because that's how they did it back in the day. So, yeah. Once again, thank you guys for coming out. I will be back here next Tuesday with another project, and show you guys a little bit more of the wild world of waste management. So I hope you will be here. I know I will be. As for that, I am your host, Pop Culture Mechanic, and I am signing off.